I think I have stumbled upon the greatest astrological breakthrough of the century, and that is this. Every time Mercury goes retrograde, I find that the psychic harassment, those who do the psychic harassment of me, right, I find they lose mojo quite drastically. They are very, very low on energy every time Mercury retrograde comes in. And Mercury retrograde sends energy into the subconscious. So you would think that we would become more vulnerable to psychic attack. And you would think that in general, right, the chaotic energy should increase and psychic harassers should be able to wrangle us and all of that. But I consistently have found that Mercury retrograde is very relaxing because the professional psychic harassers and as well as the semi-professional ones, the ones who didn't get training, but who think they are now professional because they've been through 4 relationships. Oh God. Anyhow, so whatever, right? All of these, right? They all lose energy. I'm telling you, every Mercury retrograde, right? Their energy level drops. And you know what? I found out why. Finally, I found out why. It's because their exes come around. I'm telling you, this is a thing. Every Mercury retrograde, the harassers of the harassers. The harassers of the harassers come around during Mercury retrograde, and therefore their energy level drops very badly. And this is a very relaxing time. This is a very wonderful opportunity and very relaxing time for people who you know, are the target of, and if you're a human, right, and if you're online, you're a target of psychic attack right there, right, just because you're human and you're online. And we're talking this whole industry. I am not at all exaggerating. I'm not at all exaggerating. In fact, right? In fact, I got to tell you, right? All the stuff I tell you, about psychic attacks and the thug world games, I don't tell you 5% of how developed it is. I don't tell you. Because I can't, I don't have the words to tell you. That's why. But you should know that there is an industry of psychic attackers. And if you're human, right, forget online, even when you're offline, you're being psychically attacked. It's an industry. And this industry's energy falls because of harassing exes. Oh my God. They dug their own grave, I tell you, they dug their own grave because you see, about the 60s, right? About the 60s and 70s, thug world, right, wasn't getting enough trauma energy because people were living more or less settled lives. And so they introduced free love and hippieism and all of that, to bring people out of that. That whole zzz of, marrying somebody and having sex only with them for the next 70 years or whatever. You know what I mean? They brought people out of that with using a lot of sexual hormones. They sexualized everything, and they had everybody, like now everybody, and then they normalized affairs, boyfriends, all these things. Like they normalized the population, getting it on with everybody. And this has now resulted in 2026, when I was so shocked, right? I was so shocked to find out this kid, I think 16 or 17, has got 7 exes. Unfortunately, overheard it. Oh my God. And I'll tell you, every previous generation will say this, that, in our time, we didn't even hold hands before we got married, or, we wrote love letters to each other once a month. Yeah, each generation will tell you how all this stuff was so much reduced. Like, when I went to Australia, when I was 17 when I went there. I had never had a boyfriend in my whole life. And I was one of like millions of girls in traditional societies worldwide, not even India, not even Asia, but worldwide. 17 years still a bit of a kid, right? You like, you're not considered ripe enough for an actual relationship, and relationship meant marriage and babies. So I never had a boyfriend. So then I go there, and one of my church friends, and there's this population of, we're in a town with a population of 30,000, and that 30,000 is on important weekends when they have the big car races there and stuff. So in on a daily basis, it's maybe 10 to 15,000, right? And on every street she has an ex. And you know what, she told me about her first ex, right? And I cried for her. I mean, I was sitting there, I was crying for her, hugging her and crying and all that. And then she tells me that that was just her most recent ex. And then she tells me that she had another and another. And you know what? I couldn't cry for that. Like my heart, like I stopped crying. And then I realized that, you know, now I'm telling you, the thugs have just, they've just dug their own grave, because people stop giving a shit. Like, how many exes you going to cry about, right? But the problem is this: everybody has these channels open. And all these people right now, the humans, right, because you have a soul, right, you know that you can close it, you have authority over your own energy, right? But the soulless entities, they don't have authority, they can't close channels. So what has happened is this full psychic industry, psychic attack industry, right? They are crippled because of having so many exes. They are crippled. They can't actually function. And like, they are now at, like, in general, right, they are 10% of the energy they had in, say, 2005 or 2006. And in that 10%, when Mercury retrograde comes back, even that, like, it goes down drastically. Oh yeah, so yeah, they shot themselves in the foot. Yep.